Welcome to Curated by Laura Poe. Today, I'm going to share my experience touring a medieval French city that was once home to several popes and visiting a winery that doesn't use any irrigation. Hi friends, I'm your host Laura Poe, and I curate all the need-to-know details so you can make the most of your travels. When I travel to new places, I love doing excursions that give me an opportunity to immerse myself in the cuisine, the rich history, and learn something new. If you're like me, then this excursion may be perfect for you. Virgin Voyages excursions, which are called shore things, are curated trips at each stop that allow sailors to have an experience or an adventure they may not find at home. Our first stop on the French Daze and Ibiza Nights itinerary was in Marseille, France, and we signed up for the Roaming a Rhone Winery and Avignon tour. When booking a shore thing, keep in mind that if your plans change and you need to cancel, check the cancellation policy regarding your specific shore thing, as details may vary. Some of them may even require a 48-hour notice. This particular shore thing involved spending some time at a winery where we had a lesson from a sommelier and a walking tour of the historic city of Avignon. There was about 3 hours of walking in Avignon, so choose your footwear accordingly, as there are some uneven and steep surfaces. Lunch is not included in this tour, but there's plenty of time to try the local cuisine in Avignon. After debating with your party at breakfast over whether or not you pronounce the L's in
Marseille,
you'll meet at the Shore Things desk, located on Deck 7 midship at the designated time. They'll give you a number for the group, which corresponds to the tour bus that will be your transportation for the day. The buses were all very nice, and the air conditioning inside was very cold, so if you're someone who gets cold easily, you may want to bring a hoodie or a light jacket for the bus specifically. Depending on how many groups book this shore thing will depend on which location you go first. Our first stop was in Avignon. After a 1.5 hour ride, we arrived just outside the medieval walls of Avignon, which was home to several successive popes between 1309 and 1377. Our walking tour of Avignon took us to the town square, where locals dined at outside cafes and restaurants next to a beautiful carousel. We were led to the Pope's Palace and given the option to either take a tour or venture out on our own. We opted to find a place to experience the local food. The buildings all had a historic look and feel, but the shopping area streets were paved with tile and offered many modern options. We had about 2 hours of free time in Avignon before heading back to the bus and departing to our next location. If you're interested in all the best Virgin Voyages tips, hit subscribe with that notification bell on. It took only about 30 minutes to get to our next stop,
Chateauneuf-du-Pape.
Like the surrounding area of the Rhone River, the winery was gorgeous. It was easy to see that instead of soil, the vines were growing out of stones. Because of the climate and the water table level there, the vineyard doesn't require any irrigation. The grapevines are forced to grow their roots deep into the soil to reach the water, and the stones provide shade for them so they don't die. After taking in the views that were reminiscent of places like Tuscany or Napa Valley, we were led down a narrow tunnel under the castle to a cellar that led to a long table set up for our group. Here, the sommelier led us through a tasting of several of their wines and taught us about the color, smell, and the taste of the wine and what it all means. There were several delicious cheeses that were all set out to accompany the wine, and each one added to the experience. My favorite was the herb goat cheese. Even for someone who's gone to many tastings like this, I still learned a lot about when the wine reaches its peak age and how the amount of water grapes receive affects the taste. There's a shop at the winery where you can purchase their wine and either take it with you or have it shipped home. They said shipping was around 3 weeks, but it could take longer based on the season. We piled into the bus and headed back to the ship, reflecting on everything we'd learned in Avignon and
Chateauneuf-du-Pape.
I just don't want to butcher it. It's about a 30-minute drive back to the ship, so only time for a short nap after all the walking, the wine, and the cheese. Though there is potentially a few hours of walking around Avignon on this excursion, it's really not an adventurous experience. If you're looking for a more physical activity, Virgin Voyages offers several shore things that would likely better meet your needs. There's kayaking in coastal Provence, hiking from Cassis, or taking to the streets of Marseille on an e-bike. There's even one where you tour Marseille in a tiny vehicle called a tuk-tuk. If you're someone who loves history from the 14th century and learning about some of the best wine in France, this shore thing is one that you will love. All right, so are you ready to set sail? If you haven't booked yet, I've got the best offer available, and I would love to help get you on board. Drop us a line at curatedbylaurapoe.com.